And salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is still doing well, and welcome to this early morning, middle of the night bonus upload. Before we jump into it, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click that like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads that I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment and share the video. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help this channel to continue to grow and go. They definitely do help and do matter, and they are appreciated. And with that, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to this early morning, middle of the night bonus upload, shall we? Today's interview is with a subscriber by the name of Chad. He is from Virginia in the Appalachian region. He's going to share with us a terrifying encounter that his dad had and a very perplexing kind of visual sighting that him and his girlfriend had while on a night drive in the mountains on a back road near a military installation. Also, before we get into the interview, where he lives, his cell phone service, is kind of spotty sometimes. And there's a section there in the interview where it goes kind of silent for about 5 seconds. It picks back up. The quality is great, but there's just that one we were using Facebook Messenger to talk to each other because his cell phone service out where he lives is not very good. And who can we blame for that but our friends with the ones that make all the decisions, right? All right, guys, let's get into it.
So my father is ex-military, and he does not lie whatsoever. As long as I've known him, and he also doesn't play pranks like oh, I seen a monster.
Right.
So he was out hunting, and he was out there for a little while. I don't know what time of day. This was in Carroll County. It's the county bordering mine, one of them. And so this is closer toward North Carolina border, So he shot a turkey, and he went to go track it and get it and pick it up. And when he looked up, he said this thing didn't make a noise or anything. And he said it was huge. It was like 9 feet tall.
Wow.
But he was on all fours at the time, and his length, if he'd have stood up, would have been 9 to 10. So he said that it had silver gray fur, and which later on I told him, I said it was probably a really old one, because usually when they get older they get that silver fur.
Right.
And he said it looked like what you would call a classic lycanthrope or werewolf, and I had to explain to him that in these areas it's called a dogman, and like me, I personally don't believe they're lycanthropes or werewolves. I don't believe in werewolves, but I do believe in government experiments and hybrids.
Right, yeah.
So,
I don't believe they transition either.
No. They are born that way.
Yes.
And develop into that, and the government, I believe, lets them out because they say that the Appalachia is a favorite dumping ground and experimentation site for their defunct projects that they don't expect to live much longer, or testing ground for some of their bioweapons. And I've heard that since I was a kid, and not a lot of people talk about it.
Right.
So anyway, this thing picks up he didn't see its eyes at that point, picks up the turkey in its mouth, looks around, walks down a little bit further, and stands up on all four, or on bipedal, and walks like a man down through the woods. And my dad's so scared, he's like, he reaches for his gun to shoot it. And he's like, well, what if I miss? What if shooting it don't work? So he just stayed there froze. And this was years ago. My dad does not hunt anymore. So that's similar to the stories that you've told on your channel already.
Yeah.
My dad is petrified, and my dad's hunted since he was a child. He's killed hundreds and hundreds of turkeys and deer.
Right.
Like
and he grew up in that area?
Yeah, it's Sylvatus area, Carroll County, so it's 15 minutes from my house.
Okay.
In Wythe County. Not really good with road names, just areas, and I go by landmarks and stuff. So, I'm like old school country. I just know my way around. So, he said that this thing's head was bigger around than if you look down into a 5-gallon bucket.
Wow.
And its thighs were like tree trunks. Like, it was muscular. I told him, I said, it must have been eating good. And it would there. The forest in Carroll County and like the national forest areas of Jefferson and George Washington in Virginia are very, very dense. And I'm not sure which one Independence is, which national forest that's called. I think it's Jefferson still. But in Independence, which is on up, it's closer to like Withville and Grayson. Which Independence is in Grayson, I'm pretty sure. But Independence, it's even denser than Carroll County. And so, we're proceeding. He's freaked out. He comes home, and he's kind of afraid to tell Mom because Mom thinks he's crazy. My dad doesn't lie. When Dad tells this story, he literally shakes to this day and gets goosebumps, and you can see the hair raise up on his arm. So, I know my father is not lying.
Right.
Not only that, he's a spiritual man, praying man, God-fearing man. He's not just going to outright lie about something like that. I mean, my dad don't go hunting anymore, so you know he saw it.
Yeah, that tells you something right there.
Yes. He said that its head looked like a wolf. Just like the underworld or the Howling or Blood Moon or whatever, like the movies in Hollywood, they actually look like that. And I've heard of different kinds in different areas, which makes sense. I guess it depends on what my personal belief is that they splice DNA of different canids to try to produce hybrids. And they've even came out, like, I'm sure you've heard of Mr. Jones on the internet. Talks about, back in the 90s, he was talking about chimera human hybrids and how the government was doing it, and everybody laughed at him and stuff like that, when all along I knew they were doing it.
Yeah.
I've learned how dirty the government is and what they do since I was a kid because my dad was in the military.
Yeah, they've been doing that genetic testing in underground bases for years, since the 50s.
Yes, and there's so many old abandoned mines and stuff in my area, in our area in Appalachia, that's one of the reasons it's one of their favorite places. But it interested me because when I started listening to your channel not too long ago, actually, you were talking about like Tazewell, Smith County, and all that, in Marion, Abington, all that area. That's literally like 45 minutes away from me.
Yeah.
I'm just on the other side, headed down toward North Carolina. But I didn't know that those areas were a hot spot until I started listening to your channel, and I always knew ours was. But the problem is the missing people thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen here. It just they tend to go after livestock. They don't attack people that we know of or that I've heard of. You know what I mean? Like, if it did, they covered it up, or people just hush about it. Right. And so I was like, that's interesting. So these in that area you were talking about actually have attacked people. And I'm like, well, maybe they had a good reason to. Because they are sentient. Like, they know what guns are. They know what vehicles are. And then some of the stories where they actually interact and make, like, you know, they show emotion.
Yeah.
They're a sentient creature.
Yep.
So, and I don't believe in vampires. I don't believe in, like, the crawlers, the rakes. I think all that stuff's interesting, but at my core, I don't believe that that's what they are. I believe that they are experiments.
I think the crawler, I'm on that kind of feeling myself, is the crawler thing is some kind of genetic, you know, because when they were talking in Dulce and New Mexico, you know, there's humans that had been abducted and, you know, like experimented on, you know, some genetic splicing, you're going to turn a human into a, lack of a better word, a freak show. And, you know, very strong, very intelligent, and let it loose in the woods. And, you know, who knows what happens at that point.
Right. Now, as far as cryptid, I don't consider this a cryptid, but I do 110% believe in feral people of Appalachia.
Yeah.
People that I believe that there are cannibal ones. I believe that there are ones that just attack you, ones that just want to be left alone.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them. I believe that those could be rejected experiments as well. People that, you know, can't conform and go back to society. They just stay out there because that's where they were dumped.
Right.
So, but like if you look at like a rake or the crawlers and stuff that are pale and nasty looking, they look like they're a mutant.
Yeah.
Like they've been affected by genetically by something, and that's why I believe that they're not supernatural. They're actually a escapee, or that, like, for example, those are the ones I believe they say, well, we don't give it that long to live. That's why we don't see a lot of them. So, because they die from what their experiments. I mean, you look at like the CDC and stuff like that. It's like I tell people, when they brought the Nazi scientists here, it wasn't just the rocket scientists. It was biological warfare scientists as well. Or we wouldn't have a CDC. And some of their favorite testing grounds is South America, you know, places up here where they test things on people without them even knowing. So, and they've done it for years, and people are so believing in all these vaccines that it just all of a sudden got done in less than a year. You know, I'm just like, whatever, people. But all these experiments and stuff like that, I do believe in, and I believe that the Dogman is one. Okay, so back on topic. All right, my dad told the neighbor that watches our property, because Dad saw it on our property up there in Sylvatus, Carroll County, and, you know, he won't go hunting anymore, and he, like, it messed him up so bad, he was warning the neighbors about it. So, I mean, my father had seen it. So it's like, he told the guy that watched it, he kind of laughed at him a little bit, but you could tell that he felt like he was being watched one day after Dad had told him that, and he would not go to the edge of the woods where his property meets up with the woods next to ours. And he said he felt like he was being watched the whole time, so he just kind of parked the tractor and went back in the house. Well, Dad was going to go hunting on the other side of the mountain instead and try it again. He got determined, you know, he's like, I'm not going to let something like that stop me from hunting. So he tried it one more time, and the guy that he went to make sure he had permission still from on this other side where the quarry's at, lives way up in this curvy dirt road on top of this mountain. It's dense, so dense, anything could hide in any of these mountains here. And this guy owns horses. And the guy said, yeah, you still have permission, but I got to show you something that happened the other night. Took Dad, and I'm going to tell you, we have cougars and we have bears here. That's like our two biggest predators. Not excluding the Dogman,
Right.
but still. A healthy, full-grown horse. A cougar and a bear, to my knowledge, will not catch that thing and rip it to shreds and throw pieces of its body all over the field. Well, that's what happened to one of his horses. He said, I'm burying it, but its head was over here. It was ripped open. All these parts of it were slung everywhere. And that happened in one night.
Wow.
So it was across the road. So you got like this big wooded area, and then the road 100 cuts through it. So it was on the other side where the quarry was, from where Dad had seen his. And we think, yes, that's what it attacks. It's mostly livestock. We've never heard of them attacking people. And so after that incident, needless to say, Dad came home, gave up.
Did your dad ever say what that guy thought killed his horse?
He said he had no idea, but Dad told him about what he had seen, and the guy said, yeah, maybe. And, you know, when you tell somebody like that, even around here, even if they believe you, you won't know it because people just won't talk about it.
Right. Okay.
And so I think he did tell him, I'm not sure. But I know that around here, there's nothing that's going to do that to a fully developed, healthy horse that's not limping or weak, or, you know, because a predator will go after them first. They won't go after a fully healthy animal.
Right.
And so then, fast forward a little bit, a couple months to a year later, I think, because I'm trying to get my times right. But the events is what really matters to me. I'm trying to go in order. So fast forward to a couple months ago. Or maybe a year ago. Regardless, my dad's cousin that has his farm next to the other guy's, but he lives on the other side of the road. He was in his cattle field or horse field and was feeding hay, and he looked down at the edge of the woods, and I've heard a lot of people say they see a lot of these encounters at the edge of the woods, that they'll just come out and go back in, and I've heard a couple of your stories on there from accounts where that's been in the woods too, but like Dad's, and like the guy in the tree stand, that creeped me out. But and see, they just play with people like that. That I've never heard that around here. But he was feeding, and at the edge of the woods, he said he seen this thing come out, and he said he swore it was like 10 feet long, and it was just like kind of trotting around like a gigantic dog or wolf. And he said it had orangish amber eyes, so like your yellow eyes, and it was the same color as what Dad seen, and like a gray silver. And he said it looked over at him and stood up and ran back to the woods. He said he'll never doubt, because my dad's name's Kenneth. He's like, Kenneth, I'll never doubt you again. He said that thing was real. Dad's like, I told you. And that was his cousin. This was after the horse being torn apart incident, and then his cousin seen. So the area knows it's there now. Okay? But they're migratory, though. Either that or there's different sets of families that just move around in Appalachia together or separate. Just depends. I guess they have an understanding with one another that, like, okay, we're going to hunt this area, you hunt this. It's kind of like tribes. So I don't think they all move together. You know, they're dispersed throughout Appalachia. Well, so then fast forward to a couple months ago. I forgot what the road name is, but it cuts through Independence and goes all the way to Mount Airy, North Carolina. Hitting about Independence area where it gets really dense. A couple cars and families were going through there. A because it's like a main road, and it goes through the mountain, the dense part and everything, and it cuts through and over that national forest. Once they got to national forest area, it was spotted, and more people saw it, and it ran across the road a couple months ago, and people were slamming on their brakes. So that's like the last time I've heard of it, and this thing's huge, man. It is huge. I've heard a couple of your stories, like some of the accounts, the people say that they are giant, and they are. They're huge. That's what I was going to tell you. In order to move, like what you said, where it would take a normal person that would just hang up, you got to remember they have animal-like strength, so it's nothing to them to go through bramble. So, are you still there? Hello? Yeah.
Yeah, that's... Now, do you think...
Okay, there you are.
Do you think the, where the quarry is, do you think that Dogman are using that area in the quarry as like...
Since it's active, no.
Oh, it is active. Okay.
Yes, it's active. There are places up through there where nobody lives. It's just dense, like wilderness.
Okay.
Kind of like where DJ's talking about, but it's my area over here on the other side. And it is got like old shacks and houses like that are grown over everything back there. So that it could be in a cave. It could be anywhere.
Right.
Who knows? But I do believe in them 100%. Like, I know they exist. And, do I want to see one? No, not really, because I'm afraid of what it'll do to me, like, mentally.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said when we were talking before, I still, this is, almost 30 years later, and it still, haunts my brain because I still don't know what it was. You know what I mean? Which is, it's kind of a hard thing to have in your brain, not to, you, as a human, you want answers. And when you can't get an answer, it really does mess with you. You had said something earlier about the, the feral people and stuff like that. And is that anything that you've heard of up in your region?
Yes.
Like is there a population of them, or has anybody had a run-in with them?
Yes, but on the very tip of Virginia, Appalachian Trail.
Okay.
It's rare on the trail, though. But the trail, they normally don't venture out of deep national forest, or parks or whatever. I love the missing 411 cases about them, like Dennis Martin and stuff like that in Tennessee. I believe that 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Believe that. It's like I told people, it's like if they do transition from something to a hybrid, that's like the feral people could be them as well. But here's the deal. After Dad had told me all this stuff and all this stuff transpired, this was before it was spotted in Independence again. Me and my girlfriend started looking up podcasts. She's like, wait a minute, I've heard something about this. And we looked it up, and it was just like back in the 30s or 40s, I think. But it was in Grayson County, which is where Independence is.
Okay.
And Carroll County butts up against it. And Wythe County butts up against Grayson too, I think. So that this area, there was an old story where it might have even been the 50s, but there's this old lady and her niece or granddaughter. They lived up in the mountains right there in Independence and Grayson, and she had a pet bear. She would feed it. It would come by, and she always called it her guard bear. It would guard the house. And this is like a true story. Like they say, it's a true story.
Yeah.
And she would feed it and everything like that. Well, she had noticed that he hadn't been around for a while, and something else was messing around her house.
Yeah.
And needless to say, she figured out what it was because it was looking through the window, trying to get in the door, trying to get through the windows, and it had yellow eyes. And she said it looked like a wolf man that stood upright and was trying to get in their house. And it kept pestering them, and then one night, finally, the bear came back and attacked it.
Yeah, I did that story on my channel. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. I was wanting to know if you ever heard it, but that was in the county right next to mine.
Okay. Yeah. The lady, they called the bear like Captain. They had a nickname for it called Captain. Yeah.
Yes, that's my people, man. That's the county right over from me.
Yeah.
So they've been here for a long time, but the oldest story, I don't know how old it is. I'm trying to put two and two together with government experimentation, how long they've been doing it, which we really don't know, opposed to them being a naturally occurring thing. And I don't believe they're naturally occurring. There's not enough of them that we know of to maintain a naturally occurring population. Now, a bear, I see bear every now and then, but I know there's plenty of male and females. We even have bear season to go hunt them.
Right.
So, a Dogman you don't see as many of, and so, cryptids in general and stuff like that. That's why I believe they're government experiments. Like, they have to be.
Well, they don't have to be, but yeah, I mean, there's tales of them existing for before the government was even around.
Yeah.
And like you just said, you just said, like with bears, how often do you see a bear, but they're there.
Yeah.
And these things are supposed to be smarter than a bear, smarter than, so they're going to be a lot more adapt to hiding out and using, the land just like a bear would to hide out. So it's, I believe, I've had a guy on my channel who worked for the government and said they chipped them in Virginia. And they didn't modify them. They were just using them. But, no one really knows for sure 100% until we have one on a table with an independent kind of scientific.
That'll never happen.
No, it never will. And if it does, it'll never be believed. You could drop one in the middle of a sports stadium and people would say it was AI or, whatnot. And so, yeah.
So I told you about the different military installations, or we were talking about that. And so you have the reserve centers here and there. Well, we have one close, and they got like the motor pool that they use to interchange Humvees and stuff. So one night around 10:30, 11, me and my girlfriend drove past there going up the mountain, which is part of National Forest. And I look over the bank, and behind the building, they had an armored vehicle. They had like hazmat tents and stuff set up, and they were moving a gurney with a large specimen wrapped up, don't know what it was, and they were transporting it, and they had like green lights, low lights, everything, like they were getting ready to do like an experiment or a dissection or test the subject or whatever. Don't know what it is to this day, but they use a lot of those installations. Yeah. And this was at night, so.
Yeah, and I thought I was recording it, so we were doing this over again, but you said it was like 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
And you described it because it was wrapped up about the width or the girth of like those blue kind of plastic rain barrels. You didn't see a tail, you didn't see anything on this, but it was
wrapped
just
up tight.
Yeah. And it was weird because, there's a hazmat team doing this work. So obviously it's, if it was just could have been like a set of doctors or something, but they're in a hazmat team, so it's got to be something kind of maybe toxic, radioactive, whatever, or they're not sure what it is, like.
Exactly. Oh, I seen the doctor. I seen some lab coats. I mean, they had lab coats on some of them, but they were walking out from them. But, like I would expect all of them to have hazmat stuff on if it was that kind of a deal. But,
right.
I mean, maybe he did. It was dark. But where the moon was out, it highlighted those white suits.
Was there any like army? Was there any like reservists with guns around and stuff like that?
Yes. Yeah, there were soldiers too.
Okay. Wow. Huh.
So
that's crazy. And you see this, like, you just happen to look off to the side and there it was.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that weird that the government would do that? Something like that right there?
Yeah. Well,
plain
that time
sight.
of night and everything.
Yeah. In plain sight too,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, why would they be doing this in plain sight when in reality it's like, to all these people, it's a lot of military and stuff like that are Southerners, but to them, these scientists and stuff, we're just dumb hillbillies. They don't, they're blatant. I mean, look how blatant they're getting now. They tell you what they're going to do to everybody now.
Yeah, yeah. And like me and you were talking privately, and I said, it's a shame that what the government does to the people in Kentucky, the people in Virginia, West Virginia, the Appalachian region, North Carolina. Yes. Some of the nicest people that I've met since doing this channel are from that region, and they're the most humble, honest people you could ever meet. And they label you guys because it is poor there, unfortunately, but
it is.
That doesn't mean you guys are dumb, inbred, and all meth heads. Like it's
right.
It's just it's sad, and it's almost like they, it's strange that the addiction rate is so high there where a lot of these sightings are. It's almost like the government is pushing.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, like with the old
that's what I was going to tell you.
Drug clinics and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's to keep you hooked. The methadone clinics are to keep you hooked on it, but pay them for it. That's what I was going to say is it's a perfect out for them. Yeah. So whenever there's an uptick of sightings or this or that or the other, which some of the biggest extraterrestrial sightings, they're supposedly true stories, is in West Virginia.
Yeah.
And, so it's a perfect out for them. They can say, oh, they're all messed up, pill heads, whatever, methamphetamines. It's like, not all of us. And not only that, I will tell you this. I will take up for some of those people. I feel for them that can't get rid of their addiction. I know some people don't want to. But I will say this. A lot of the addicts in my area or just in general here, they're some of the nicest people. You don't got to worry about them as much as you do the people that actually just break in and try to steal stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And now opiate addicts will do stuff like that, and I'm pretty sure some meth addicts will too. But for the most part, the druggers, you don't got to worry about them as much. And maybe it's just my area, or maybe there's a lot I don't know, Art, but just from what I've seen in my area, which cops, because I live on the end of Wythe County. I'm basically Pulaski too. You don't see a cop here unless there's like a drug bust or something's went down and they had to come out here. Right. So this area I'm at is a hot spot for paraphernalia and trafficking. But still, most of the people are really nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. So, but the people that steal gas or try to break in your house to steal your valuables for money, that's the ones you got to watch for.
Right. Yeah, but like you said, it's a perfect out for the government.
It is, and I wholeheartedly believe that the meth trade, a lot of it came from Mexico, but I do believe 100% that they had a hand in bringing it to this area to weaken us.
Yeah. Or like the pill clinics back in the 90s. And
yes.
they were, I just watched a show I think it was in West Virginia, and it seemed like every doctor had a notepad, and there was a pill clinic, on every other corner, and
Yes.
it was almost like, hey, let's keep the addiction flowing. Let's keep the experimentation going on in this area. In that
Big
way,
pharma, man.
yeah,
and it's legitimate. They really are doing that stuff, and and then they blame it on, like, of course, there's individuals and stuff that are
right,
dealing and stuff like that, obviously, to make money, because like, I'm fortunate in my area of Appalachia that a lot more money and bigger industry came in, or we would be just like Clay County, West Virginia, or somewhere like that, and like, it's still considered an impoverished area because it's still Appalachia, but we're a little better off, I guess you would say, financially and stuff. We're still the same people as, like, you go to West Virginia, it's still the same people.
There you have it, folks. I do hope you all enjoyed this early morning, middle of the night bonus as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is, after all, your support that helps this channel to continue to grow and go, and what gives us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment-free. Everyone is simply treated with the respect that we deserve. Please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real. These events have happened. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless you all.